some devastating news, I would say, but I don't think it was unexpected given the time period of the season. Caitlin Clark announced on her social media that she will miss the rest of the season. Captioned it in short and part. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with a singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. She was limited to 13 games this season.
Picture this. The arena is packed. Thousands of fans wearing the same jersey, holding up signs, chanting the same name. The cameras pan across the crowd. The broadcasters build the tension, and everyone is waiting for the moment when the biggest rookie in women's basketball history steps onto the court. But then silence. Something's off. The one player they all came to see isn't there. That's the nightmare the WNBA has been desperately trying to avoid. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just another promising rookie. She isn't just a good player on a rebuilding team. She is the heartbeat of the league, the bridge between years of indifference and the dream of a golden future. Without her, the numbers fall. Without her, the spotlight fades. Without her, the WNBA risks sliding back into the shadows it fought so hard to escape. Her latest announcement didn't sound like much at first, just a player saying she wouldn't return this season. But beneath those simple words was an earthquake that shook the league to its core. Because her absence raises a question nobody in power wants to face. What if Caitlin Clark never comes back? And make no mistake, this isn't just about an injury. This is about the very real possibility that the most important rookie the WNBA has ever seen could walk away completely. Not for another league, not for another paycheck, but because the game itself, this league itself, may no longer be worth the cost to her body and her future. If that happens, it wouldn't just be the end of a career before it truly began. It could trigger something far bigger, the unraveling of a league that has staked everything on one player. But how did we get here? How did the WNBA become so dangerously dependent on one rookie to hold everything together? To answer that, we need to go back to the exact moment when everything began to fall apart.
And taking the time. And there is a difference in being a role player and coming in and playing a role and coming in off of an injury. There is a rhythm. But when you are Caitlin Clark and you have the ball in your hands and you are on the other team's scouting report, to come in half and not be able to be in that amount of, I would say, rhythm of the game, because the rhythm of the game changes towards the end of the year. And so when it started getting closer to the end of the regular season, I was like, it's dangerous to come back during playoff basketball because the whole flow, the physicality, all of that is different. And so I know it's difficult to kind of take time and understand the big picture, especially when you're living with tunnel vision and you've worked so hard to get to where you're at. But it's the smart thing. And I'm proud of this generation for taking the time they need, looking at the bigger picture, and making sure that they get healthy. So, Caitlin Clark, hope you feel better. You have a great offseason and you come back.
It began with what seemed like just another physical game. Clark had already built a reputation for taking hard hits, being targeted, and playing through pain. But then came the injury that changed everything. For weeks, fans hoped it wasn't serious. Social media was full of clips showing her at practice, carefully moving, trying to convince the world, and maybe herself, that she'd be back soon. The WNBA's marketing machine kept pushing highlights, pretending nothing was wrong. But finally, Caitlin herself broke the silence. On Instagram, she wrote the words no fan wanted to read. "I will not be returning to play this season." The reaction was instant. Fans flooded her comments with heartbreak and support. Reporters dissected every word. And the league? Silent. Because with one sentence, Clark had ripped away the illusion the WNBA had been selling all year, that everything was fine, that the league's golden era was only just beginning. For Clark, the decision wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. She had never missed a game in her entire college career. She had played through pain, fatigue, pressure, and the weight of being women's basketball's most scrutinized player. Now, just 13 games into her professional journey, she was being forced to sit. And while fans saw heartbreak, one WNBA legend saw something else, a warning. Enter Candace Parker. Not just a former MVP, not just a two-time champion. Parker is the kind of voice that makes the entire basketball world stop and listen. And when she spoke about Clark's injury, She didn't mince words. Parker backed Caitlyn's decision completely. She said what the league refused to admit. This was the right move. Why? Because Parker had lived it. Late in her career, she ignored her body's warnings, rushed back from injuries, and paid the price. She lost crucial years. She sacrificed her health for a league that never truly gave that same sacrifice back. Her message to Caitlyn was crystal clear: respect your body, even if it means disappointing the league. And Parker wasn't just protecting Clark. She was exposing the WNBA. Because if your entire future depends on one rookie destroying her body just to keep ratings alive, what does that say about your league?
How I am feeling. She was limited to 13 games this season, and she hasn't played since July 15th when she suffered a right groin injury in the final minute of the Fever's win versus the Sun right before the All-Star game.
I mean, that's our girl. That's our girl. And I feel like no matter what happened, you have to protect you and you have to protect your career. There's no reason to force anything. And I feel like her just kind of having that approach of doing what's best for her is all we can ask for, because we'd rather Caitlyn sit out and then come back next season and we're ready to roll and we're ready to rock. And so we've just been supporting her and she's been supporting us. She's always there. We're getting to watch film and she's in there walking through saying, hey, and we're like, get out, go do what you need to do. But I mean, she's still the same. And I feel like our approach, because we've been missing her for so long, is just to come in and compete. And we have a good rhythm, I think, with everyone that's came in. And so just keeping that as our main focus.
The truth is brutal. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a rookie. She is the WNBA's financial lifeline. Before Clark entered the league, TV ratings were stagnant. Arenas struggled to sell out. Sponsorships were modest at best. But the second she stepped on the court, everything changed. Record-breaking TV numbers. Sold-out arenas in cities that never cared about women's basketball before. Merchandise flying off the shelves. In just one season, Clark became bigger than the league itself. And the WNBA knew it. They plastered her face on every promotion, built entire broadcasts around her games, and sold her story as the dawn of a new era. But that success came with a price. Every defender wanted a piece of her. Every veteran saw her as the target to test. Night after night, she was hacked, shoved, and fouled with little protection from referees. And instead of stepping in, the league watched it happen, because controversy sold tickets. That pressure, physical and mental, created the perfect storm that led to Clark's injury. And once she was out, a new, darker question surfaced. What if she's not just out for this season? What if she's out for good? The moment Clark's announcement went public, the speculation began. On Twitter, fans started asking, is Caitlyn really coming back? Articles popped up suggesting she might take her talents elsewhere, to endorsements, to broadcasting, even to overseas leagues willing to pay her far more than the WNBA ever could. Some fans even pointed out how Clark had nothing left to prove. She had broken records, changed the conversation about women's sports, and brought in millions of new viewers. What more did she owe a league that refused to protect her? And then came the scariest rumor of all, that Caitlyn might simply walk away. Not for another league, not for a bigger paycheck, but because the WNBA itself was too broken to be worth her sacrifice. Suddenly, her season-ending injury didn't just feel like a pause. It felt like the possible end of a story barely getting started. And if that happened, Caitlyn wouldn't be the first star the WNBA had lost.
Well, Coach Steph White had said that they were hopeful that Clark would return by the end of the regular season, but Caitlyn was unable to fully reincorporate back into practice. She had never missed a game in her collegiate first year in the WNBA. So this is definitely a blow, I'm sure, for the organization, but also for her. Fever went 8-5 when Clark played and 15-15 without her. You all did win the Commissioner's Cup for the first time in franchise history without her. So maybe that is also another precursor. But big picture from the outside looking in, I have been a player that has had a number of injuries. And I think later in my career, especially, some of those injuries.
The WNBA has always had stars, but it has also always had a problem keeping them. From Diana Taurasi sitting out seasons to play overseas for better pay, to Maya Moore leaving the game entirely at the peak of her career, the league has a history of losing its brightest names. Not always because players wanted to leave, but because the league gave them no reason to stay. Poor travel accommodations, low salaries compared to global leagues, inconsistent marketing, and, most dangerously, a reputation for failing to protect players from physical punishment on the court. Caitlin Clark might be the most extreme example of this problem, but she's far from the first. The WNBA has a pattern, and if history repeats itself, they're about to lose the one player they can't afford to lose. Because without Caitlin, the fallout would be immediate. Picture the WNBA without Caitlin Clark. TV ratings crash. The casual fans she brought in disappear overnight. Sponsors pull out, realizing they weren't investing in the league, they were investing in her. Arenas that sold out for the first time in decades go back to half empty. Headlines about the new golden era vanish, replaced with whispers that it was all just a one-woman show. And the league itself? Scrambling, trying to find the next big star. But here's the truth. There is no next Caitlin Clark. At least, not anytime soon. The WNBA built its house on one foundation. And now that foundation is cracked. Caitlin Clark's injury didn't just end her season. It revealed the truth about the WNBA, that one rookie holds more power than the entire league. Whether she returns or not, the message is clear. The league needs Clark far more than Clark needs the league. And if the WNBA doesn't change fast, her story could become the most devastating what if in sports history. Because the only thing more shocking than Clark's season ending would be her career in the WNBA ending before it ever truly began. So here's the question for you. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you come back? Or would you walk away while you're still on top?